Hey guys, welcome to DIY University by Sally Beauty. I'm Alicia Torello. Today I'm going to show you how to do some cute Halloween nails. We're going to do different designs for different skill levels, starting out with like an easier design. I love doing tutorials because I think they're fun and it's kind of, a helpful way to show everyone. Artists ways that they achieve nail art looks and some of the techniques that we use, and I think it's just a good way to show everybody how we do things sometimes. So I'm going to be using Nails.INC products. For the first look, we have the Faux Sure line, and it's a really cool kind of textured look, which is especially good for Halloween, I think. And the white color, which is their plant power um, polish. You see that? So we're only doing two colors for the first look, trying to keep it simple. And I've already prepped my nails just so we can kind of get into the design. So basically I'm just gonna paint my nails. You can go like thin coats, they dry faster if you do thin, although the Nails.INC polish has very good coverage, so you really don't need two coats sometimes. This has really good coverage. And then as it dries, you can see the texture kind of come to life. It's very cool. When I paint, I try to just push my hand against, the table, kind of give you a little leverage to steady your hand. You can always use your pinky while you're painting and kind of balance against your pointer finger. Helps you steady your hand. So really with this polish, it's got such good coverage, we really only need to do one coat. So we'll close this up quick. And I'm just going to use a piece of foil and take my white color. Just dab a little on here. You don't need too much. I'm just going to do some eyes and a ghost. So we'll do the eyes first. And if you have a dotting tool, you can use that. Or if you don't have a dotting tool, you can always use a paintbrush. The end is a really good tool of a paintbrush if you don't have a dotting tool. So I'll show you with the paintbrush first. And you can kind of just place, wherever you want, really. It's up to you. And they don't need to be perfect. It's just like, easy. Just kind of put it down. It's Halloween nails. They can, the eyes don't need to be perfectly round or anything like that. It looks better if they're a little wonky. More fun. Go down here. And I'm going to put a ghost on my ring finger. So I'm just going to move my eyes over here. And then we can set our paintbrush aside. And, you know, you can use either these brushes or I like to use a specific brush that I have that's similar. And you can put it right into the bottle. If you don't have a brush with this kind of tip, if you just have one that's a brush, you can dab it, on your foil and do it that way. So what we'll do for a little ghost, so you can kind of start and make the rounded part of the ghost, so you have like a reference of where you want to pull the tail of him. And like I said, they don't need to be perfect. It's just, close enough. You can kind of get down by the cuticle, pull it up in a little swoop. And you can correct as you go too, You just want to fill it in. If you get any on your cuticle, you can just kind of wipe it away with your nail. So let's let that first layer dry a little bit. And we're going to go back with our black. I'm going to put a little dab on the foil. And we'll just do the inside of the eyes for the ghosts. And I like to use my dotting tool. I have like the smaller end. And let's go ahead and start adding the little eyes on. Oops. Okay, and then we can go and add our eyes to our ghost. There we go. That's our first design. Also, if you want to go back and touch up any areas, if you did mess up a line or, anything like that, you can take another brush or take your brush and go back with the black and kind of, just do a little touch up. There's a little spot out of line. And it kind of cleans up the edge. So that's our first look. I kind of prefer not to put a top coat over the faux because the faux short, just because I like that leather effect and I think it looks really cool without, but it's personal preference, I think. So while I remove this, anyone has any questions. Then while I remove black, I mean, it's best if you have acetone, and you want to just kind of set it on and pull up. You don't want to wiggle it around too much because you'll just kind of spread that black around. You get a cleaner removal if you just kind of do one swipe. You can kind of wiggle it back and forth, but don't, aggressively do it and spread it around. I would say instead of immediately going straight in with the next color, it's best just to wait at least a minute or two for it to dry. It's better if you give it more time. For our sake, we're kind of like, just cruising through to show you guys how to achieve. But it is better if you can let the polish dry in between adding your coats for design. It's a good question. Okay. So for our second design, I'm going to use the black for sure again as our base. Just quickly put down a base coat. Okay. So we'll do another coat of the black. You can always use a brush. I have a skinny eyebrow brush that I use to clean up. I get a little on the cuticle. We're gonna use this really amazing red that's from the Plant Power collection. And again, this is another method where I would use a dotting tool or end of a paintbrush. So we can use our foil again, put a little dab down. And another nice thing about this design is that it doesn't need to be perfect by any means. So it's a kind of like a blood splattery look. And I'm going to take paintbrush. And you can kind of put down the dots, and you can use different sizes as well, which is nice. It gives you like a varying look, and we'll do them in different heights. And then I will take a brush and create the lines that way. So you're kind of just connecting your lines to your circles, and you can kind of start and just gradually pull down. You want to like take them in a tiny bit and swoop them. We'll go in the middle of the dot here and smaller and swoop it down in kind of like a circular motion. You can kind of just trace along the cuticle. And you can decide like how many you want to add to each finger, if you want to add more or less. Whatever your preference is. You can always clean up the cuticle later, right after you finish your line at the bottom. You can take your brush, put in your remover, go around the cuticle. You can wipe off in between because you don't want to smear around the red after you remove it, like I'm doing. So you can just kind of go, you can even create your dots further up. Do another bigger one here. You can do a smaller one. Just kind of do the same thing. Create your swoopy lines. If you feel comfortable enough as well, you could easily, some people easily can make your circles with your brush if that's what you're comfortable with. Some people are more comfortable with using the dotting tool. It's, whatever you feel good and comfortable with using as your tool is fine. Add one more smaller circle over here. I would most likely go back and kind of touch up and do 2 coats on a lot of these. But for time's sake, I'm just gonna show you how to do one because I have one more design I would like to show for a little bit higher difficulty. Okay, so clean up the edge. I would probably go back and, kind of touch these up a little, do a second touch up for color to make the red a little brighter. But like I said, for time's sake, I want to show you another design. And this also, you can choose if you want to do a top coat or not. It's kind of personal preference. I like that it's kind of got the shiny and the leather effect, has like the texture, which is nice. So, you know, personal preference there. So we're going to remove these and do our same technique. Just kind of be gentle, push down, pull up. Um, Hacks and tips to prevent your nails from chipping. I would say base coat is important. I think it helps a lot. And just like making sure your hands and nails are moisturized. Big fan of cuticle oil. I do think top coat helps to, prolong manicure as well. Um, for something like this, if you wanted it short term and suggesting not using top coat just for a look, but in general, everyday life, I think, the base and the top are important, and just keeping your hands moisturized. Okay, moving quick here. All right, gonna throw on base coat again really quick. Painting your non-dominant hand. That's a good question. It's not the easiest thing to do. Um, I find that when I paint my non-dominant, what I like to do is I'll hold my hand, I'll, keep it on the table, and I'll keep my other hand on the table as well. And you can either pull your non-dominant hand and you're in control. Um, I'm sorry, pull your dominant hand and hold your non-dominant hand still, and that kind of helps, the movement a little bit. Um, it's or doing the anchor with your finger and holding it still. It's definitely a challenge to do, but that's usually how I'll do it, and just make sure my hands are secure and balanced, use the table to keep everything still. Okay, so our last look, I'm going to use our white again from the Plant Power collection. I'm going to use my brush. Here. And we're going to do a French tip. And if you have shorter nails, like I don't have, the most amazing nail beds, they're nice, but they're not too long. I don't have the luxury of having nice long nail beds. So you can kind of start your French lower if you'd like, and it gives you a little more room. And it can look cute like that as well. If you have a longer one, you can always go based on your free edge. So I kind of just like to get my line down. Sometimes too, if you need a guide, it helps to you can put a dot in the middle and go from there. If you're more comfortable doing that way, and do one side like that. And then you can either start at the outer corner and pull in, or you can kind of go from this side out. Depends on how, everyone works differently, but whatever you feel comfortable with. And then you can always use your skinny brush, or you can use the brush that came in the bottle to fill in your line. This way is a little messier, but you can clean it up easy, not a big deal. With the smaller brush, you have more flexibility, it's easier to fill in. It's a little bulkier, but it works. Okay, oops. Can fix that. Okay. So do a couple little touch-ups if things are out of place. Get the corners with your brush. Straighten your lines. And if you do a little mess up, you can take your brush and your remover, and you can just kind of do a quick cleanup if you need to. Also, with this, it doesn't need to be perfect because our design kind of overlaps. So, if you do get a little mess up, you can take your design and kind of place it over the spot that you messed up on, which is an easy fix. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our black again. We're going to do some little spiders. So you can use your foil again for your brush if you need to. Okay. And basically, again, doesn't need to be perfect at all. I'm just gonna make a little head of a spider. This is also something you can easily use a dotting tool. I can use a dotting tool on some of the other ones to show you, but it's pretty self-explanatory like the other designs. And you can make it whatever size, shape, whatever you want, but get the general idea. You can just make some little legs. They can come off the edge or whatever you want. And then you can do kind of just a few if you don't want spiders on every nail. You can do like, one on your pinky. Then I can show you how to use the dotting tool if you'd like to use that as your tool. And do one on this side. Place the head there. And as your dotting tool, you can kind of just like bring it in a circle. And then you just add your legs. This one I would add top coat to, make it shiny, but you would want to wait, a few minutes for it to dry because you don't want it to streak. So those are the designs for today for our Halloween looks. Thank you very much for tuning in. And all of the Nails Inc. products used can be purchased at sallybeauty.com. And you can stay connected with them on social media at Sally Beauty or at Nails Inc. Thank you for joining us.